What is that strange shape, you ask? You probably didn't ask. Well, that was Maryland's 3rd Congressional District from 2013 until 2023. And why such an odd shape? Let's discuss. Hi there, and welcome to Gimme 2. My name is Mark, and in this video, we will discuss gerrymandering. Gerrymandering? Gerrymandering. In just 2 minutes. As with my other videos, if you want to go straight to the 2 minutes, which will discuss the most popular methods of gerrymandering, that is timestamped in the description. But if you stick around for a couple of minutes before that, I discuss our governmental structure, as well as some of the history, uses, and effects of this politically manipulative tactic, which might be worth sticking around for. To address the pronunciation of this word, it was probably intended to be pronounced gerrymandering, as will be discussed in the history shortly. But this has evolved to where most of the world pronounces it with the j sound. I will go with the hard G throughout the video, but I wanted to acknowledge the debate. Let's begin by examining the structure of the United States government, which consists of 3 branches. The executive branch, headed by the president, the judicial branch, led by the Supreme Court, and the legislative, represented by Congress. Congress, which primarily focuses on drafting laws and passing bills, is divided into the Senate and the House of Representatives. The Senate has 100 members, 2 from each state, regardless of those states' populations. The House, on the other hand, has 435 members, apportioned based on those states' populations. Let's just say congressional seats are hotly contested, to say the least. Now, let's focus on the House. As mentioned, the number of representatives for each state is determined by its population, with each House member representing an area known as a congressional district. But populations change. Therefore, every decade, a census is conducted, updating state population data. The 435 House members are then reapportioned to the states based on the updated census information, and congressional lines are redrawn to account for these updates. This process is called redistricting, and this is where things get interesting. As if the politics of politics wasn't contentious enough, we had to go and bring redistricting into the mix. In 1812, the Massachusetts governor, Elbridge Gerry, not Jerry, a Democratic Republican, approved a redistricting plan. One of the districts, oddly shaped like, I guess, a medieval salamander, seemed to be drawn up such that the demographics heavily favored his political party. The Boston Gazette was all over it, and portmanteaued Gerry and salamander, giving us gerrymander. 212 years later, that name has stuck. And the term, which most people now pronounce with the soft G, has come to represent any political manipulation of district borders. Gerrymandering is a well-known political tactic in America, used by both major political parties. Over the years, it's evolved into a sophisticated strategy, with advances in technology and data gathering. This allows for precise boundary drawing to maximize partisan advantages. Gerrymandering takes political partisanship, racial demographics, and even voter turnout into account when drawing those district lines. Gerrymandering can distort the representation of a group relative to their share of the population, often discouraging moderation and compromise. These underpin some of the fundamental principles of democracy and can significantly diminish the trust in the electoral process, as many see this as following the adage that the voters don't choose the politicians choose the voters. While the term gerrymandering was coined in the US, it is a global issue, with many countries facing similar districting challenges. Policymakers continue to explore solutions that limit this manipulation, from fixed boundaries or alternative electoral systems, to employing neutral parties or commissions to draw those political boundaries. However, each method has its pros and cons, and there is no universally accepted solution. In the US, lax regulations allows gerrymandering to influence politics for years, shaping legislative representation for at least a decade at a time. So let's look at how gerrymandering is used in the 2 minutes. Before we do, however, if you find this content interesting, informative, or entertaining, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel to stay up to date with similarly delivered content on a variety of topics. It really does help the channel grow and for videos like this to reach broader audiences. But for now, let's get back to gerrymandering in the 2 minutes starting now. Gerrymandering is the process of manipulating electoral boundaries to favor one political party or group. There are several popular methods of gerrymandering, which fall into constituency gerrymandering, where borders are redrawn to manipulate the voting population, and incumbent gerrymandering, where new borders are intended to hurt the re-election chances of the district's current representative. It's also common for multiple methods to be employed simultaneously where possible. There are 3 main methods of constituency gerrymandering: stacking, cracking, and packing. Stacking is the redrawing of district lines to increase, or stack, one party's representation into a district where the other party previously had the majority. This method can put the first party over the top, allowing them to win the district. If there's a significant majority of one voting group within a certain district, cracking can be used to split that party into smaller groups among several districts, decreasing their representation in any one of those. If stacking won't sufficiently dilute that majority, and they can't be effectively cracked into several districts, packing can be used to concentrate all of those voters into one district, effectively giving that district to one party, but limiting their influence in the surrounding districts. Incumbent gerrymandering has 2 types: hijacking and kidnapping. Hijacking is done by redrawing district lines, placing 2 of the opposition's incumbents into the same district, forcing them to face each other, eliminating one of them. Kidnapping redraws the boundaries to transform the district of an incumbent to include a completely new constituency or demographic, making re-election much more difficult. And those are the popular methods of gerrymandering. I hope you enjoyed that video. I found it very interesting learning about this process, and I may have lost a little bit of faith in government. But I hope I was able to deliver this information clearly to you. It's important to understand that this is not endemic to one political party over another, and it's simply used as a strategy to gain a political advantage. But I am trying to shed light on a politically manipulative strategy that has been used for quite a while. If you're interested in learning more about this, there is plenty of information out there, so I encourage you to do your own research. But thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in another video.